Joining me now is Zionist Federation of Australia CEO Alon Cassuto. Alon, thanks for your time. That's a simple question for me. Watching what happened on the bridge, how did that make you and your community feel?
Our community's shaken up, Steve, and understandably so. I mean, you had the total number of people who are estimated to have been in this march, pretty much the equivalent of the entire Australian Jewish community, which numbers at roughly 100,000 odd. And, you know, this so-called March for Humanity, which was promoted as a peaceful demonstration, was anything but. As you mentioned, there were photos of Ayatollah Khomeini, who's responsible for the deaths of thousands of people around the world and sponsoring terrorism that has killed tens of thousands of Israelis and Americans. And you've got chants for the destruction of Israel. You've got chants for death to the Israeli Defense Forces, the display of Nazi symbolism, glorification of terrorism. I mean, these images are not about peace. They're not about a two-state solution. They're not about Israelis and Palestinians living side by side and ending the horrific war which Israel didn't start and didn't want. And so, as you mentioned, the image of Faruqi, Assange, Craig Foster standing in front of a giant image of Ayatollah Khomeini, I think says it all. It's a mask drop moment. I mean, if these people wanted peace, then they'd stand side by side with Jews and Palestinians and have Israeli and Palestinians flags flying side by side and calling for an end to Hamas, for a return of the hostages, for a ceasefire and the beginning of a two-state future. But in fact, there wasn't, out of 90,000 people marching, there wasn't a single Israeli flag. There wasn't a single image of any of the Israeli hostages. And I think that really tells you everything you need to know, that one of Australia's most iconic symbols, the Harbour Bridge, a place that should be all about unity, became a symbol of hate. It was hijacked to delegitimize Israel as the only Jewish state in the world. So this wasn't a march for humanity. This was a march against Israel. And speaking of the community, it came at a particularly painful time. It was actually the day of Tisha B'Av, which is a Jewish day of mourning, the saddest day in the Jewish calendar, which is a holy day for us where Jews fast. We mourn the destruction of our temples in Jerusalem over 2,000 years ago. And on this day, Hamas knew the symbolism of this, and this was the day the Hamas, a despicable terrorist organization, chose to release harrowing videos of an Israeli hostage, Eviatar David, who was emaciated in unimaginable conditions. I mean, it's the only image of a starving adult coming out of Gaza was this emaciated hostage who was forced to dig his own grave while Hamas videotaped him and sent it to his family into the world. So this was not a march for peace. We are all for protest and free speech, and we're all for humanity, but this was not that. This was a horrific symbol of hate in our minds.
Alon, I made the point on my program on Friday that now we've had on October 8 the scenes outside the Sydney Opera House the day after the terror attacks on Israel. And depending on who you talk to, there was chants of gas the Jews or where are the Jews. You then bookend that with the Sydney Harbour Bridge with 90,000 people on it. Those pictures, and it's no coincidence that these people chose those two iconic locations because they know that those pictures will go around the world. So what is yesterday saying to Jews around the world and to everybody around the world about what Australia thinks about what's going on in Gaza?
Well, listen, Steve, I think I want to separate two issues. I received a lot of very concerned phone calls from friends, family around the world, in the United States, in Europe, in Israel, saying what on earth is going on in Australia. And it's not because they take issue with people caring about what's going on in the Middle East. I mean, anyone who sees children who are suffering, anyone who knows what real war is about, knows that, you know, this people should care about this. People should come out and protest suffering, whether it's Israelis, Palestinians, or anyone else. But never have we seen another war? Not any of the genocides that have happened in Rwanda or in Sudan or anywhere else in the world bring out hundreds of thousands of people like this. And what we realize is that actually there is a unique hatred that manifests when it comes to Israel that doesn't manifest in any other conflict around the world. Now, this isn't about trying to understand the deep-seated roots and historical prevalence of anti-Semitism. It's actually about saying Israel is fighting for some very specific values, which are the same as Australian values, as American values, as European values. These are Western liberal values against a psychotic Islamist terrorist organization bent on its destruction. And I understand that this is foreign for many Australians because fortunately here in Australia, we don't have an existential threat. We don't have an Islamist organization on our doorstep trying to massacre our families, but it is the reality that Israel lives in. And I think a reality check came when we saw that these same people who protest Israel and call for Israel's destruction also call for America's destruction. And worse, they call for Australia's destruction. I mean, we saw Australian flags being burnt. We saw Australia being delegitimized. And I think really there's a common...
Absolutely dreadful.
So, I mean, history...
just absolutely appalling what happened there. I mean, I mentioned at the start of the show the Melbourne issue with the burning of the flags and the hatred toward our own country. Alon, I appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for giving us a few moments. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.